In the mid-90s, he was riding a killer wave. He had been part of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and Bill and Ted's Great Adventures. He had been part of Point Break, which everybody loved. And of course, in 1994, he carried together with Sandra Bullock the semi-blockbuster-ish big movie Speed to be not only a critically acclaimed movie but also a huge box office hit. So, what did Keanu Reeves decide to do 1995, riding all the momentum he could ever hope for, being one of the hottest young stars in Hollywood? What did he decide to do? Well, he decided to do Johnny Mnemonic. Today, it is a largely forgotten movie, but it has gathered a sort of cult following through the years, not necessarily limited to the fact how incredibly adorable this. Oh, how it wants to be Blade Runner's younger and more cool and hip little brother, but it turned out to be, you know, that second cousin that shows up at your wedding and is drunk and wants to pick up everybody from your granny to your niece. Oh Jesus. So what's our story? Well, this is 2021. I think we're in for some trouble because in 2021 you have to remove a part of your skull to fit in 80 gigs. Well, you could easily have done it with, you know, a flash stick or something like that. We'll get to that in a second. In the future, nerve attention syndrome, or NAS, is a plague that has infected a large population. People have, you know, replaced their body parts with robot arms and stuff like that. And some people have also become couriers. They're carrying data in their heads. And Keanu Reeves has a pretty big thing in his head. He can carry 80 gigs. Now 80 gigs, that doesn't seem too much. And no, it isn't. Today it isn't. But back in 1995, 80 gigs was number too huge to even imagine. I mean, you know, your discs you had, you know, your cute little diskettes, they carried 1.4 megabytes. Just imagine that for a second. So in exchange for him to carry 80 gigs in his head, he has removed a large portion of his brain, including his childhood. So he has sort of not too much memories of who he really is. Now his latest assignment goes a bit south because they have to upload 160 gigs. Still, you could use a flash drive. But they decided, no, let's put it in his brain instead. He has to get this one out very shortly or his brain will die and he will die and the message will be destroyed. The thing is that he doesn't know what he's carrying, but everybody seems to want to get it. Including a man with a laser whip. That's pretty cool. So he's traveling to Newark, everyone's favorite destination in America, to try to extract the information and also try to find some answers. What is he exactly carrying? Why does everybody want to kill him? This movie has aged terribly, and I mean terribly. It has aged awful. I mean, already the 80 gigs capacity in your skull is kind of dumb, but then you have all of these weird references which Ice Cube makes, because Ice Cube is in this movie. That is a approval of quality for your movie. Oh yeah. That you should turn on your VCRs because we're coming with a message, low-tech style. Also, it's a funny thing with the internet 2021. Everybody's using gigantic visors, and internet 2021 is adorable. They use all these wires and they making long distance calls with their gloves, and there's no such a thing as social media, or there's no such a thing as YouTube, or, you know, all these other stuff. This was at the fetus stage of internet in Hollywood's mind, where they sort of try to figure out what is internet and how can we use it in our movies. Thomas Gibson, the writer of this movie, said, "Hey, I know how it's going to be in 2021. You were wrong, sir. Very wrong, sir." So all of these adorable little things that is so cute and adorable. You know, we just want to pat the movie on the head. Oh, you little movie, you're so very, very nice. Now, when you saw this in 1995, you were sort of thinking, oh my God, the internet looks so fucking rad in 2021. That isn't the major problem. You can excuse it for that. It is excusable. What is not excusable is that everybody in this movie sucks. I mean, Keanu Reeves is awful in this one. I actually am one of the people who defends Keanu Reeves. He has a weird way of, you know, portraying characters, because he has this very calm demeanor which makes him almost feel like a zombie, sort of walking through his movie like, oh, I am acting. And I get that. It gives you the feeling that he doesn't care, but that's sort of his way of acting. But it's also worth mentioning that when he, you know, delivers, you know, a line with real passion, I am an FBI agent, you know he's meaning business. Here he's just lost. The plot is all over the place for him, and, you know, all these side characters, they are pretty lame. Dina Meyer, who is his love interest, and you know, a woman who helps him, a cyborg kind of pleasure girl or something like that, she's as bland as, you know, a lamp. And Ice Cube is awful. This was before he got a slight more bit of dignity. To be fair, he has, you know, become better over the years, but here he is kind of atrocious. And Henry Rollins, of all people, shows up as a sort of doctor. But there's one person we have to mention. When I saw this movie, me and my friend, we talked about this, that a certain character got praise for their role in this one, and it is the most unexpected one of all time, because as a religious zealot assassin cyborg, I was able to do that without cracking a smile. I am good. We see none other than Dolph Lundgren! Oh, Jesus Christ! Look at him! Look at Dolph, man! Look at Mr. Lundgren! I don't know if he is most awful of all time, or if he is most awesome of all time, or if there's some kind of a weird combination, because his deadpan delivery is just what this movie needs. A bit of the awkward weirdness that gives this movie a boost, because it sure as hell needs a boost. It has no suspense, it has a confusing plot that doesn't go anywhere and doesn't explore all the things it could have explored. There's a lot to explore here. Oh, by the way, did I mention that this movie has a cyborg dolphin? There he is. It's not a very interesting plot. The Yakuzas with their laser whips and stuff like that, that's kind of cool. But the action sequences are bad. The suspense doesn't really exist. It also features almost no humor, and the humor that exists is unintentional, and it features a barrage of bad performances. And this movie is really, it has this sort of 80s sci-fi ugliness, but the 90s version, which is a little bit better lighting, but that's about it. It is an ugly looking chunk of movie. The plot should have been interesting. The plot should have been, you know, the thing that drives this movie, but it fails on basically every level. And yet, you're never truly bored by it, but you're sort of disinterested for the most part. When bonkers things happen, like the samurai with the laser whip, and when the street preacher is, you know, coming to murder everybody, and when they totally chuffs up Beat Kitana in his worst performance of all time, these things sort of lifts it. And let's not forget when Keanu Reeves has his big meltdown, and I want my shirt cleaned! That is kind of fun, but this is what a bad but memorable movie feels like, which sort of lifts it up to an okay level, because this movie never goes into the truly awful territory. because of how unique it is in its, you know, lameness. Take it for what it's worth when I say that I wouldn't recommend this movie, but if you would stumble across it on some obscure cable channel at 3 a.m. or something like that, give it a shot. It's bad, but there is a logic behind the madness somehow. It looks awful, it has bad characters, it has bad action sequences, and it is an uninteresting plot. But on the other hand, it is kind of fascinating to see how strange it is, and for the curiosity of what the world would look like in 2021, I cannot give it a too low rating, but I will give this one 29. Take that for what it is. It is not a bad movie. It is a bad movie, but it is sort of fascinating to watch, and not entirely without entertainment. So that was Johnny Mnemonic. The warmest day of the year so far. Almost 30 degrees. Let's see how long we get to keep this one up. The Vikstrand is signing out.